Salutations, this is the Israelite Prepper, and I just wanted to do a quick interview with Sister Lynne, and she's just going to answer a couple of questions about living off grid. And I wanted to do this because it's going to be a female perspective on the subject. So, with that being said, I'm going to jump right into the questions. All right, Sister Lynne. First question, how do you feel about starting and living in a community? This, of course, Remnant Ranch happens to be off-grid as well, but again, how do you feel about starting and living in a community?
I'm really excited to start the community and live in the community. I am starting my path on moving towards being vegan and moving towards non-GMO foods, and growing my own food, knowing where my food comes from, that it's not grown with chemicals and pesticides, knowing that the food that I'm growing is healthy, the food that I'm feeding my family is healthy, a slower pace of life, waking up with the sunrise, going to bed with the sunset, or probably not going to bed with the sunset, but just having more of a set way of life, more like our ancestors had, not so much of this hustle and bustle of our microwave society and being so fast-paced and busy, and I'm looking forward to the fresh air, the clean air, you know, not so many of the street lights and the sounds, and you know, I suffer from migraines, and just so having more of a stress-free life. I think it would be much better for my health and my sanity.
Wow. Yeah. I didn't know how you were going to answer. So, family Israel, I do not know her answers. I just know the questions. I know her answers, so I'm hearing it for the first time, like you guys. But I really enjoyed that answer. It was very thoughtful there. Let me get to the second question. The next question is, what's the scariest thing about living in the community?
The scariest thing about living in the community is not having access to some of those emergency response systems, which is why I'm moving towards getting hooked up with some of the naturopaths here. And I'm looking into studying some of the homeopathic remedies and naturopathic medicine, naturopathic healings and all that kind of stuff, using food to heal, and using homeopathic things, herbs and all of those things. That I can say is probably one of the things that I'm most concerned with, becoming accustomed with triage and learning with my family what types of over-the-counter things and what types of herbal things can cure all of your ailments, and to help to keep my family healthy. Those are the things that I have turned my attention to, because at Remnant Ranch, I want to be able to keep my family as healthy as I can, and if accidents do occur, when sickness does occur, I want to be able to keep everyone there as healthy as I can, and then also being able to develop educational systems for my children and for the children that are there. So I'm looking at, right now I manage online learning environments for students here in the city where we are, and I'm learning how to write curriculum. So I'm geared towards that too. So health and education, those are the things that are my concerns, and that I'm geared towards finding solutions for.
So you see, so you're already in the educational field, and then your major in college is science-based.
Yes.
Okay, so you still have a little bit of a background in that.
Yes, I do.
All right, let me go to the next question, which is, what's the most, well, I asked you what's the scariest thing, but what's the most exciting thing about living in the community?
The most exciting thing about living in the community is developing new skills and being able to meet new people. Learning things like building solar cells and digging wells. So I love to learn things. So the most exciting thing is to be able to build the whole structure from ground up. Yeah.
I got you. Well, you know what, that led into my next question, which is, what are the special skills that you are excited to learn? Because I know one of the things you wanted to get into is beekeeping, but
yes.
But you go ahead and tell me what skills you like to learn.
I do want to learn beekeeping. I have always been a crafty person. In my 20s, I dabbled with candle making, so I want to pick that back up. I've also been intrigued by soap making, so I want to get back into that. I have dabbled in sewing with the girls, so I want to pick that back up. As I mentioned before, I'm looking into naturopath and homeopathic remedies, and I have my hand in education. That is what I do right now. So I am looking into developing curriculum so that the children at the ranch, they have an education system built in. So I know I will need a force of sisters behind me, so that way I know that I have sisters that can help me in our medical unit. So if people are sick, if people are hurt, we can take care of them. I will need sisters behind me so that we can get our children educated. And I will need sisters behind me so that we will have candles, we will have solar power, we will have soap, and we will have cleaning products. We will have toothpaste to brush our teeth and things like that. We will have sisters that are out in the gardens. I also need some brave sisters to help me with our bees, and we plan on using some of the honey for us, and also selling some of the honey in farmers markets, selling some of our produce at farmers markets, so that we can make a little return to put it back into the ranch. So not only do I need sisters to help me there, I need some sisters who are some Proverb 31 women who are there to be prosperous and to work.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, you mentioned Proverbs 31, and again, that kind of leads me to the very last question. So the very last question is, what does living in a community have to do with serving the Most High? Because I actually had a question. The reason why I came up with this question is because I was shooting a video. I don't think it was a full lesson. I think it was just a video. But anyway, someone said, or in the comment section, they just said, does it have to do with salvation? Do you have to live in a community to gain salvation? Of course I said no, or whatever, but it did help me craft this question. So again, what does living in a community have to do with serving the Most High to you?
To me, when you don't live in a community, you struggle to find some like-minded people to be around. And outside of the community, I do struggle to find like-minded women. And so I would like to be in a community so that I have sisters there, that we are of one mind, and we can bond closer together, and we can get together, and we can look at the word together under the direction of some men that we can trust, that are on the same page with us. And as we work together, we can also learn from one another and grow stronger together. And could we do it outside of the community? Probably. However, in a community separate, we do have the benefit of having our homes where we are living the lives that we were meant to be. We were always meant to live a separate life. You can find that throughout Yeah, set apart. You can find that throughout the scripture. We were not called to live among the heathen, because what do? We fall temptation all the time. And it's proven time and time again, when Israel is living among the idolaters, we fall prey to idolatry. So how do we keep ourselves from that? We live separate. And so that is the benefit of living separate, living in a community. You live with people who are doing the same things you are doing, who are of the same mind that you are of. And when you are feeling weak, you can look at your fellow sister who is not feeling weak at that time, and you can draw strength from her.
Absolutely. I agree with that. I mean, it's something to be said about knowing who your neighbor is and being among people that share the exact same values. So for instance, if your kids are hanging out, you don't have to worry about your teenager hanging out with this other teenager, because everyone's sharing the same, the same belief system. You don't have to worry about sending your kid over to your neighbor in the community or their house and to get something to eat. It's going to be clean. Chances are, because you share the same values.
And then you also don't have to feel ostracized. And I know this isn't a video about polygyny, but if you are living in a family where your husband has multiple wives, you don't feel like you have to hide. You don't have to feel like your neighbors will ostracize you or treat you differently. You have someone who can identify with the lifestyle choices that you have made. And if you have struggles, you have a sister that you can go to and say, this is how I'm feeling today. This is what's going on. This is what I'm struggling with. Or, I feel like this today. And then she can encourage you in the word, and whereas when you don't live in a community and you don't live among people, sometimes we tend to go to people, or we tend to feel like we cannot share what's going on in our lives with other people. And then it just creates an environment that's not conducive, because we live among people that don't understand our culture.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, you know what? I have one more bonus question, which would be bonus question number 7. And I'm just going to simply ask, what do you say to someone who says living in a community is a cult?
I would say it is a cult. Because the definition of a cult, if I can read it for you, is great devotion to a person, idea, object, movement, or work. Okay? Now, the thing is, the word cult over time has developed negative connotations when it should not have. Anytime we hear the word cult used, it's often used whenever you've had some of these movements where they drank the punch and they all killed themselves or something like that. This is kind of like a cult. It is a group of people, due to cultural reasons, we live set apart. We have been called to live set apart.
No different than the Amish.
No different than the Amish. You could call Amish people a cult.
Yeah, they try to be set apart.
Because they try to live set apart. And they're very distinct. We are a distinct set of people who are called to live apart. So if
Bible calls us peculiar people.
Peculiar, exactly. And that's one of the things in here. It says that one of the things on here says something about being peculiar or something like that as well. And we are a peculiar people. So if they were to call me a cult, I would say yes. That means we're doing something right. Because we are called to be peculiar. When someone sees us walk by, they are supposed to that is what the Bible says. So because someone calls me or says that I am a member of a cult, I shouldn't take it as an offense. I should take it as we're doing something right.
Okay, so you're not trying to blend in with American culture?
I'm not. Right, I'm not trying to blend in. If someone looks at me and I look no different from the next person, I'm not doing something right.
Okay, I got you. Okay, so you're not gonna hold your head in shame because someone, you must be in some kind of cult, living in community, and
No, I should I should not hold my head in shame. As a matter of fact, I can be totally honest with you. I have gone on a journey, and one day soon I'm gonna do a video about my journey and head covering. I've gone on a journey now where if I slip up and I leave the house without a head covering and I see another woman out in public with her head covered, I actually feel shame because I don't feel covered.
Okay.
And that's the thing. We are supposed to feel a little peculiar.
Okay, no problem. Okay, I like that. I like that answer. So hopefully this is something that edified the sisters. This is different, me being on the outside of the camera, which is okay. But like I said, the reason I wanted it is because I wanted them to see your countenance, and I wanted them to get your perspective, because they see me all the time, and they get my perspective all the time, but I wanted them to get a female perspective of what it means to live in community, and why you're even interested in it too, and besides just following me just because I said, okay, this is what we're doing. So I just wanted you to just share your perspective on it, and I think it may edify a couple of sisters out there. At least I hope it does. So until next time, this is Israelite Prepper. Shalom, Israel.